Greetings everybody. I gave myself 20 minutes for this video and I hope I can cover some very serious topic in this one video. First thing I'm going to say is Babylon knows who to promote. They see the nature of the ones among us and they can tell that these are the ones that I'm going to promote because they will proliferate the lies. These are the ones who will exchange their soul for money. It's not the one outside there you have to worry about, is the one in your midst. And so this one is really going to talk about family. It's going to talk about friends. It's going to talk about the people we know and the kind of things that they're able to do, how they are used against us, and it weakens us. If you're not very careful, you will fall prey to these ones. We're going to talk about how, people have indoctrinated Black people and tell us that everything that belongs to us is no good. If you look at the movies, the bad guy is always the Black guy, and if you look at the stories told around the world, the problem always starts with us. And, rightfully so, because we relinquished our power. We gave up on the thing that freed our people. And we demonize our mama, Africa. We don't want to be associated to Africa because, of what they say it represents. Meanwhile, you see people from other parts of the world who are forever in Africa, foot always there, never leaving because they know the truth about what that land holds. And we lose our magical connection. We want to show people, oh, we're going to Paris and we're going to Rome. I'm guilty of it too. That's why I say we. Haven't set my foot in Africa yet. Every year my trip gets canceled because of one reason or the other. But, I think it's because I need to be prepared for that journey. So I accept that. Now I'm going to talk about Obeah in this. I'm going to talk about, enlightenment. I'm going to talk about deliverance. And I want you to listen. If this is too much for you, I'm warning you, exit now. This zone is for talking about things that are true and deep, so you can armor yourself and protect yourself. And I'm going to give you personal stories. And I'm not going to be afraid that I'm going to offend anybody. Sometimes you hear people from Jamaica say, I don't believe in Obeah. And I'm thinking, well, that's good. Because believing in something is about taking what people tell you. I'm going to talk about what I know about Obeah. Aspects of Obeah and how our people do not use it to free themselves. They use it to hold others in, sort of bondage. Now I'm going to speak from my own experience. My own family Obeah'd me. Yes, and I live to tell the story. And here is how it unfolds. I was in Jamaica. I went out. And when I came back home, I was about to take a shower. When I entered the bathroom and turned on the light, I noticed that there was blood splattered all over my bathtub. And with what looks like a feather, like someone... Well, first of all, when I first saw it, I didn't think anyone dipped anything in blood. I thought a bird came through the window and died somewhere. So the first impulse was to look around to see if I found this dead bird, and I didn't see it. I looked everywhere. There was no bird anywhere. The window was closed. And so I turned on the tap to see if I could wash out the bathtub. And as the water flows on the back wall down, I saw thick blood running in my bathtub. And I, was here talking to myself, and my partner overheard me and say, what did you say? And when he came in, he just pushed me aside. At that time, I was about 8 months pregnant. He pushed me aside and he said, let me take care of this. And he washed it out. I woke up and I found white dust powder in front of my doorway. And when I asked what it was, I was told that it was ants powder. But it wasn't. These ones were using black magic. These ones had hope to attain a certain result. But because I believe and I produce nothing but love, I was delivered. Doesn't mean that there was no consequences. Didn't mean that I didn't suffer some kind of ill fate. I did, because when I delivered my child, I was disabled for a year. I had to learn to walk again. There are consequences to these actions. And why would your own relatives do that? I'm still waiting for the answer. And I know within myself that it's soon and they're going to confess what they did. But these ones that I loved tried to harm me using a tool, a very wicked device. So let me share. So that's the dark side. Let me share the light. And when I say dark and light here, we're not talking about color. When I say dark, it's the absence of light that illuminates that space to bring about another dimension. And when I talk about light, I'm talking about spirit. And I will use these interchangeably. I woke up one morning and my phone rang, and I had a brief conversation with my sister. And I was about to go back to bed because I had a newborn baby. I was about to go back to bed because, you know, babies keep you up at night. And as I was about to lay down, all of a sudden, I just started feeling a sort of energy course through my body. I started to feel a certain vibration that I didn't understand. It took me out of my mind. And all I can remember is just screaming. I heard myself screaming. I heard this voice in me screaming. But all it was doing was praising. It was just praising and praising. And I couldn't sit up. I kept, you know, every time I tried to sit up, I would fall back. I was terrified, people, because I started thinking, okay, this is a spirit. I recognize it for what it was because I've been in church environments and seen certain things that happen and see the fake stuff and knew stuff that was real. And so I called the pastor of the church that I was attending and I was telling him what was happening to me. And he said, don't worry about it. You know, it's the Holy Spirit. That's how it works. I was begging him to come to my house because I didn't know what to do. And I was alone with a child. And he said to me, there's no need to be afraid. Just recognize when the Spirit is there. And it is there for a reason. And you ask for what you want and you reason with the Spirit. And so I took his advice and I started to present my case before the Spirit. All the stuff that I was going through, praying for healing, praying for blessing, for doors and pathways opening. And I suddenly had a peace and a calm that to this day, every time I'm going through any kind of turmoil, I always go back to that moment. That day, I didn't believe in anything. I knew that there was something greater than me and that the universe was there conspiring to teach me and to bring me into a certain truth. Then I took a trip to Jamaica to Paul Bogle March. And while I was at the vigil, again, I'm just not a very comfortable person around crowds. So I removed myself and I was standing under a tree as everyone was dancing and, you know, doing the rituals that they have. And when I was under the tree, people, I felt like something, I thought the rain started falling. I felt things pouring all over me. But when I look, look at me, there was no water. I felt things stinging, like you hear the thing cascading through the leaves, pouring down on me like, oh my goodness, I'm talking to you about this now. And I am getting goosebumps, like someone was throwing, it felt like salt coming through the leaves, stinging my face, my arms. No one was around. I was the only one standing there. And I later on realized that was a kind of baptism. And after that day, I would sometimes get a word and I would research it. I know nothing of this word. I would research it and it leads me to a truth and to another truth. And I would hear something in my spirit when I'm about to go attend to business. And I address that. One example is I'm going to the court because I was taking the landlord to the court, because of things that he was doing, and there's a penalty to pay. And so he had to pay that penalty. And as a woman of color, I don't want people thinking that you can just do anything you want to do with me and just walk away. It doesn't work like that. When I have my ancestors with me, and when I have the creator behind me and before me and around me and inside of me. And before I went to that meeting, the spirit said to me, bring this art, this document. You're going to document this thing and you're going to present it. And while I was there, my landlord was telling lies about how much I paid for rent. I paid $1,850 at the time for rent, and he said I was paying 16 because on the contract that he gave me, the lease, that's what it said, but that's not. He advertised the place for $1,600, but when we came, he jacked it up to 18 because he was a thief. And we said, okay, no problem. I knew that one day that was gonna come back to bite him. And so when he was supposed to pay me because he asked me to leave and he thought he could just kick me out of his house, and I said, no, I'm not. You're going to pay me to leave, because that's what the government says. And so when he realized that he had to pay me 1 month rent because he's asking me to leave, and then he also had to give me back money that he legally took as security deposit, and he also had to, pay whatever it is he had to pay. Trust me, people. The spirit told me the night before, bring this. And when we went there, he denied. He denied that's the amount I was paying. And there I was able to provide it with you. So the spirit has always come to say, here, this is what you need to do. Prepare you one step ahead. Every time I believe in the ancestors. I believe in the creator. I believe in the spirits that are with me. They never, ever lie. This is why I say things without any fear that I'll be mocked, because they never, ever lie. And so all the things I've gone through in my life and witnessed these things for myself, experienced these esoteric things, and I still have so many questions and so much to learn. The mind cannot retain all of these things. But I want you to know that if you think you can fight in the flesh without the assistance of the spirits, you are kidding yourself. These things we can talk about that is happening around us in the world, but these guys, these ones out here that are appearing to be winning, they're using some forces of nature against you. And if you don't recognize it and understand it, and if you don't have a keen ear to listen, and if you're not asking for divine guidance, you're going to be caught in the trap. The signs are there. I look at people, and on the surface they look like human beings, but they're reptiles. I see people stand up before you speaking, and these ones, have a microphone in their ears being told what to do. They're like robots. And so you're going to be dealing with people who come to you that look like a real human being, but they're not. And you're going to hear stories. And one of the things that frustrate me so much is when I look at the intellectuals in Jamaica, they're as dumb as nail out here promoting the agenda and the arguments of their own, jailer. All they want in Jamaica is just the visa. They're defending the visa. Right now, they're celebrating Biden and that woman who disrespected her father's heritage. They're saying that, yes, we're glad for this woman, not understanding that this woman she and the man is a devil and the devil playmate. That's not what it is. We're talking about how science and, necromancy and, black magic is at the forefront. And the people can't protect themselves because they don't understand that until you go back to the truth of who you are, unless you invite the spirits to lead you to truth and to guide you and to give you this armor of protection, you're out here, you're lost. Your own family is doing witchcraft to you. Your own family is obeying you. your own relative. But guess what? The ones that did those things to me, I knew they did it, and they were not the first. They were not the only ones who tried things. Because when there's a calling on your life, things are going to happen to you. Some negative things are going to happen to you, because it's through that, process that you get to surrender and be opened up to being taught. And that's the only way you'll overcome, when the Spirit brings you to that place where you surrender. Now I look back and I have overcome so many of those things, and I've learned to walk again, and I went to work and I was able to get my family together. And I just can't believe it to this day. Some things that I've been able to achieve to this day, because I surrendered and I listened to the voice of the invisible ones, if you want to say. Witchcraft exists. And right now, when you look in Jamaica and you look around you, you're seeing a lot of people are dabbling in witchcraft. And they're saying, oh, it's Obeah, as if Obeah is the only thing that has dark side. Everything has two, it's when you talk about duality, everything, there's night and day, there's, good and so-called bad. And all this is relative depending on where you are. What is bad? What is good? These are questions you have to ask for you or answer for yourself. The people tried to get rid of me. And years later, I'm looking back on and I'm seeing these people and I see what is happening to them. And all I can do is pray for them. There's one woman, this woman, when she comes around, her energy is so bad. I am literally afraid of her. And when I say afraid of her, I'm afraid to take my eyes off that person. I wouldn't want to be alone in any space. That lady used to take me out of my house and take me into a dark place, somebody's yard. And I said she wanted to speak privately, not realizing that when she was bringing me into this dark place, she was like bringing me into something like a cemetery. And she would be taking me there to tell me she has something to say to me. And at the time, I was so naive. I didn't realize that when she's calling me out of my house at night, she's not calling me to be in my yard or to be in her yard. She's taking me into this dark place. Darkness, I can't see her face while she's talking to me, but I was naive. But the Creator allowed that to happen, because then I wouldn't be able to talk to you the way I'm talking to you now. That woman, everything around her is broken. When I go to her house, every mirror in her house is broken. Every glass, everything. Dirt and mess pile up in her space. The woman is the devil incarnate. And I have tried to pray for her over the years, but I realized that the darkness around her, I don't know if it's a generational curse. There's a darkness that is upon this female, and she has 2 sons. That's what concerns me. She has 2 boys. And her heart is filled with darkness. But I didn't allow her hate and her wickedness to tap my energy. And when I say tap, T-A-P, to tap my energy, not stop, tap it. Because all the things that happened, all the bad intention that they had for me and for my life, here I am today. And I still got love. And the reason why I haven't reached out to her is because I recently accidentally spoke to her. Somebody gave me a number and I didn't know it was her number. And I called it and she knew it was me, and she didn't talk to me like she knew me. She was filthy in her heart. 13 years later, 14 years later, she's still corrupt in her heart. But I won't allow that to kill me, because guess what? Freedom must come. And if you are closed, you cannot receive the blessing. I'm going to pause here again, and I'm going to come back, share in the comment experiences you've had. You think someone obvious, someone set some traps for you, some generational curse. Let's talk about it here. They can be broken. They can be broken. Just know that when the ones who did it to you, when that thing comes back to them, that you don't celebrate. You don't really cry for them, but you don't celebrate what's happening. Stay blessed, everybody. And remember, peace, joy, prosperity for 2021.